check some timing. We've noticed that there are lag times between when we click the button and go live and when it actually gets live onto YouTube and Facebook and all the rest of that kind of stuff. So we're experimenting, and for those who are watching, this will be a brief 10-second interlude as I just make things up. And now he says I can go. Welcome to our Crucifixional live stream. Glad to have you beautiful people in as we explore a difficult topic this week: death. And we've been talking about, dealing with death, facing death, with loved ones, and also that, remember, it's coming for even us, and we've got to make our one beautiful life count. And how do we do that? Today, I want to just talk a little bit about the idea of grief, and when somebody dies, how do we, the survivors and loved ones, how do we go through grief? Right? Like, it's in my experience, I've seen a lot of people say, "Oh, you did it too fast. You must not have loved them." Or others, "Hey, it's taking too long. Snap out of it. Life carries on. They're in a better place." All the things that they say because they think people need to move on in their life. And what I've come to realize, grief is like a desert, right? So imagine it that you're walking through the desert and you're dying of thirst because you need water. And it's hard, it's hot, it's lonely. I mean, there's no life out there. And that grief that we feel when someone that we love dies, it can be just like that desert: painful, lonely, dry, and depressing, and all the rest of that kind of stuff, devoid of life. What we can't do is slow down and stop. Here's what I mean. As we go through grief and wend our way through whatever suffering we may be feeling over the loss of a loved one, we've got to keep going. We cannot stop. It's okay to feel the pain, to experience the pain. It's okay to cry. It's okay to say curse words. You know what I mean, right? Like, to get all of that emotion out. It's not bad that you feel sad or a loss. I mean, you love the person. You're supposed to, right? It is the process going through that desert. That's what counts. And you may do it differently than I do. And my speed may be faster or slower than your speed. But regardless, we have to continue through that desert of grief. And I would say, in my opinion, as a man of faith, that we must call upon the name of God to help us as we go through that grief, right? God is the ultimate comforter. He is the one who is the source of life, not just in this life, but in the next. He is the one who will say, in some real sense, like we hear in Isaiah 41, "I'm your God, I am God, and you're God, and I will be your powerful right hand." Like, use God to get through that grief. I don't mean you say to him, "Oh God, take away all this pain and suffering," right? It's part of life to feel that. But you might say in your prayer, "God, give me the strength to endure as I go through this desert." I promise you that as long as you do not quit, as long as you don't stop making that effort to find healing and peace and the catharsis that goes with grief, you will eventually find yourself through that grief and on your way to resuming a normal, healthy life. Now, having said that line, I also want to throw this in here. It will never be the same, right? We don't ever want to say, "I'll go back to normal," right? If you lose a spouse, especially like I've had in the last couple of weeks, couple of days really, had some people lose spouses of many, many years, one of them over 50 years. Well, it's never going to go back to normal, right? Like, that was the majority of that person's life was spent with their spouse, and now that spouse is gone. It won't be normal. But it doesn't mean that a new normal is bad, right? It's not going to be the same. And so we can't expect someone to go back to normal. It's a new environment, a new world, a new situation for them. And we have to be empathetic enough to help them as they go through that. Grief it's a hard thing. It's never done, in a one-size-fits-all kind of manner. Every person is different. So we must be with those people, encouraging them, being an arm, to walk with them on their journey. And we do that with love and with empathy. It may be a different speed than you're ready for or that you are used to. And that's okay. That's for them to work their way through. All of us, however, cannot stop in the middle of the desert of grief. We must keep going, fighting our way through, living crucifixionally to come on the other side and find ourselves at a sense of peace and coming to, I don't know, it's going to sound silly, but coming to grips with the fact that a loved one may have died. I know you can do this. It's hard. It's not easy. And every time I witness somebody pass away and I look at the family and fight with them, I can see they're struggling. There's heavy there, but you can do that. The way of the warrior saint is certainly willing to help you do that. I mean, it's what we do. We help teach to live a crucifixional life so that when you face these things, in this case like grief, you have a way through it. It's sometimes an arduous way, but it's the only effective way, the only way that works. All you need to do is visit warriorsaints.org and take the 2 steps. We'll be back tomorrow to continue Death Week. Love you, beautiful people. As always, keep walking on the way of the warrior saint.